Norv server here. Welcome back to the channel. What's up, everybody? How are we doing? So, Bungie just recently buffed Warlocks. Pretty crazy. So, if you haven't used, there's so many different builds right now because pretty much like your Child of the Old God, your Arc Buddy, your Helion, it all pretty much ties into Grenade. But we're gonna try something different here today. We're gonna be using this Void Explosion Weaken, just volatile rounds on your weapons, devour all the time build. Like, it's pretty crazy. The survivability is actually really nice. The ad clear is crazy. And we're going to be using Nova Warp on this, believe it or not, trust me. But if you obviously, if you're in a DPS, like, check, maybe throw on Nova Bomb. But yeah, Axion's got buffed. I think they're doing like 20% extra damage, and they have 8 Seekers now, and you get 2 of them. You get 2 Axion bolts. Pretty nuts. We're not using vortex grenades here. I tried vortex grenades with controversial holds, and for some reason they just don't hit the same. This is pretty much the new vortex build in Void Warlock, the Void Warlock tech. Because I'm not sure if you guys remember, but there was a time where vortex and controversial hold was really good, but this is the new tech. So we're gonna get into what exotic armor. Let's get into that right now, and that's gonna be controversial hold. All right, so pretty much what these bad boys do is they, when you have Chaos Accelerant, which we're gonna get into the fragments, we're gonna get into the aspects and all that. Pretty much what Chaos Accelerant does is when you hold your grenade and make sure grenades, pretty much do more damage, make them make stronger. And what this exotic does, it gives you damage resist when you're holding Chaos Accelerant, and it also weakens the enemy, and it gives you grenade energy back. As you can see, I am tagging these ads, and I'm literally just getting my grenade instantly, which is kind of nuts. It's pretty crazy. Alright, so I want to talk about the aspects here and the fragments, which are going to be really important, but let's talk about the 2 aspects really quick, and that is going to be Chaos Accelerant and also Devour. The 1-2 punch. You gotta have Devour if you're running Void, right? Alright, so make sure you guys got those 2 aspects equipped. Chaos Accelerant ties in with Controversial Holds. What it does, like I said, is when you pretty much you just hold your grenade button. Like if you're on controller, it's L1. So you hold L1 and it overcharges your grenade, which makes it pretty much more effective. And then you tie that in with Controversial Hold. You're gonna get damage resist if you're getting surrounded by enemies, and then you toss it out. You're gonna cause weaken. We're gonna go over the fragments, which are gonna be exploding so much things. You're gonna be getting devour. You're gonna be volatiling everything. And I'm using Fire of One here, so I'm gonna have volatile rounds, which again, we're gonna get into the fragments. So yeah, and then devour. Obviously, you get your health back, and with the fragment, we're gonna extend that devour timer, which is gonna give furthermore more grenade energy. All right, so let's get into the fragment, shall we? Alright, so for the first fragment, we're going to go with Echo of Instability. Alright, so what this does is when you defeat targets with grenades, it gives you volatile rounds. So you're always going to have volatile rounds. Yes, Squire 1 does get volatile rounds, but it's only like 2 seconds. So this is much longer of a duration. So it's really, really nice. So if you have a repulsor brace weapon, definitely use that. I couldn't find any that was tiered. I don't know if I was smoking some stuff, but I cannot. So let me know down below if you guys have any tiered weapons that are featured that are void and have repulsor brace. But yeah, let's get into the next fragment. The next fragment is going to be Echo of Expulsion. Alright, so this one is super nice. Void ability final blows cause targets to explode. So, void abilities, grenade, everything's going to be exploding, everything's going to be volatile. It's super, super nice. So let's get into the next fragment, which is going to be Echo of Vigilance. Alright, so pretty much what this is going to do is when you are when defeating a target with while your shields are depleted, grants you a temporarily void overshield. So pretty much what this does is when you're one shot or your shields are gone and you get a kill, you're going to get a nice little OV, which is pretty much just going to tie into the factor to survivability, which you already have Devour on top of that. And your Void Grenade, your Axion Bolts are just going to be nuking everything. So ad clear, you have the ad clear, you have survivability, you have Devour, you have Weaken, you have all that good stuff. So let's get into the next Void fragment that we want here, and that is going to be, most importantly, I feel like this is really, really important here for this build, and that's Echo of Persistence. Echo Persistence to me is really important, mostly for Devour because it extends the duration, and like you're just getting the grenade energy on top of the controversial hold, because when you tag enemies with controversial hold, it gives you grenade energy back, and then you get kills with Devour, and it's just giving you more grenade energy back, which is super nice. So yeah. So yeah, we just went over the fragments, we just went over the aspects, we just went over what grenade we're gonna be using. Now, like, I'm just gonna throw it in there. Make sure if you want to run Nova Warp, run Nova Warp. You know, if you're not like in an activity that's like too crazy for DPS check, like a raid for example, or maybe like a dungeon encounter. But if you're just like me, I was just running a mythic Kepler missions minus 30, and I didn't even need Nova Bomb to kill the boss. It was just Nova Warp was perfect for ad clear, helped me out. So yeah, now we went over all like pretty much a lot of the important stuff, but now I want to get into what armor mods you want to run on your armor, because this is going to be really nice for super regen. So let's get into that as well. All right, so for the armor mods that I recommend to put on your character is, depending on your like, oh yeah, this is also important. This is what I want to talk about, is make sure you to have at least 170 grenade with a grenade font. So I showed you right there, I have a grenade font, and I also have firepower on my gauntlets. And another like really important mod is the helmet mods. Make sure to have ashes to assets. Me, I have 3 on there, so I can get my Nova Warp really fast. But you know, you can get away with like 2, and maybe throw on like a special ammo finder, you know, so you can get a lot of special ammo. And for the chest, you know, obviously you just want to have whatever damage resistance, you know, whatever activity you're doing. And make sure to have 2 time dilations, so when you're picking up orbs from your firepower, you can get pretty much extended, you can get those grenade fonts activated, and you can get more, pretty much 200 grenades. So make sure you rock at least 175 grenade with a 1 grenade font, and make sure you have time dilation and powerful attraction. So this is pretty much all you need, and you're going to be a void warlock demon. So appreciate everyone watching. If you made it this far into the video, I do not have an editor. I do all this by myself. I don't like I edit everything by myself, so I try my best to get content out there. I know people are saying Destiny is dying and this and that game, but to me, I love the game, and I'll be covering it till they shut the servers down. So if you guys made it this far to the outro, I appreciate you, and make sure to hit that like and subscribe, and thank you for enjoying my work, and I will continue to try to get better. Peace.